The energy in the stadium was electric. Thousands of people filled the massive venue, their voices blending into a chaotic symphony of excitement. The bright stage lights cut through the darkness like blades, flashing in rhythm with the bass-heavy music thundering through the speakers. This wasn't just any concert. This was the biggest night of the year, one of the most anticipated performances by a global superstar. And somehow, I found myself standing near the VIP section, watching the whole spectacle unfold. I wasn't supposed to be there. Not really. I mean, I had connections, but not the kind that got me front row access to events like this. A friend of a friend had pulled some strings, and before I knew it, I had a pass hanging around my neck, blending in with industry professionals and high-profile guests. I wasn't dressed like the usual VIPs. No designer suits, no diamond chains, just my usual casual fit. But I didn't care. I was there to enjoy the show, soak in the atmosphere, and maybe, just maybe, get a little recognition from the crowd. See, my name's Big Shaq. You might know me from my viral hit a few years back. Man's Not Hot? Yeah, that's me. The internet blew up with my track, turning me into a walking meme overnight. People laughed, people vibed, and for a while, I rode the wave. But in this industry, fame is like smoke. It disappears before you can catch it. And while I never really faded away, I knew there were people who thought I was just a joke, a one-hit wonder who didn't belong among the real artists. That didn't bother me much. I knew who I was. I knew what I brought to the table. But still, tonight felt different. Maybe it was the crowd. Maybe it was the anticipation buzzing in the air. Or maybe it was just that feeling in my gut, like something was about to go down. The superstar on stage was one of the biggest names in music. A multi-platinum artist, Grammy winner, the kind of person who could make or break careers with just a few words. I had never met them in person, but I had heard the stories, how they loved to take shots at other artists, especially ones they didn't think were real musicians. The show was at its peak, the beats were heavy, the crowd was hyped. And then, just as the music faded for a moment, the mic picked up the words that made the entire stadium freeze. Yo, ain't no way Big Shaq is in the VIP right now. The voice boomed through the speakers, dripping with mockery. What you doing here, bro? This ain't no meme convention. The crowd erupted in laughter. Some people cheered, some gasped. But I just stood there, the spotlight suddenly burning down on me. My heart pounded. The cameras were turning in my direction. My mind raced. Was this really happening? The laughter hit me like a wave, rolling across the stadium, amplified by the echo of the speakers. For a split second, I thought maybe I had misheard it. Maybe I was just imagining things. But then, the giant screen above the stage flickered, and there I was, my face plastered across it, caught in real time. The crowd's reaction only intensified. Some were pointing, some were nudging their friends, and others just stared, waiting to see what I'd do next. I forced a small smirk, playing it cool, but inside, my mind was racing. Was this planned? Was this part of some weird joke? I had never even interacted with this guy before, never said a bad word about him. So why me? Why now? The artist on stage strutted to the edge, leaning into the mic with a grin. Nah, for real, Big Shaq, I respect the hustle, man. But you still doing that man's not hot thing? Or did you finally take off the jacket? More laughter. I could feel the eyes of 1,000 strangers drilling into me, waiting to see if I'd react, if I'd fire back. A camera crew was already shifting in my direction, their lenses trained on my face, ready to capture the moment. The internet was going to eat this up. I could already imagine the headlines. Big Shaq gets clowned on stage. Superstar humiliates one-hit wonder at concert. This was the kind of thing that went viral, the kind of thing that stuck to you like a bad stain. The artist wasn't done. He chuckled, shaking his head. Look, man, it's all love. But I gotta ask, when's the next hit coming? We still waiting? The crowd hollered, the sound bouncing off the walls. Even some people in the VIP section were shaking their heads, pretending to hold back laughter. It was one thing to be joked about online. That came with the territory. But this was different. This was live, unfiltered, and in front of tens of thousands of people. I clenched my jaw, keeping my face unreadable. People always assumed I was just a joke, just some meme that got lucky. They didn't know the grind. They didn't see the hours in the studio, the effort behind the persona. They didn't realize that Big Shaq wasn't just some viral moment. It was a brand, a movement. I glanced at my phone, vibrating non-stop in my pocket. No doubt my notifications were blowing up. Twitter, Instagram, maybe even some DMs from friends asking if I was good. I had two choices. I could let this moment define me, let it become another internet clip that people laughed at for a few days before moving on. Or I could do something unforgettable. The superstar smirked, sensing my silence as a win. He turned back to the crowd. Aye, man, let's give it up for Big Shaq, though. The legend himself. Man still... I didn't let him finish. I took a step forward. If they wanted a show, I was about to give them one. The stadium lights felt hotter now, the weight of thousands of eyes pressing down on me. My face was still up on the giant screen, but instead of looking embarrassed or flustered, I kept my expression cool. A smirk tugged at the corner of my lips. If they thought I was just going to stand there and take it, they had no idea who they were dealing with. I took a slow step forward, then another, making my way to the very edge of the VIP section. Security guards tensed up, watching me closely, probably wondering if I was about to do something crazy. The crowd's laughter was still lingering in the air, but now it was mixed with a murmur of curiosity. People were whispering, waiting. The artist on stage was still basking in his own joke, milking the moment. He was grinning, looking back at his DJ, hyping up the crowd. Nah, but for real though, Big Shaq, you good? We just messin'. You ain't mad, right? He said it like he was giving me an out, like he was in control, like he was doing me a favor by pretending it was all in good fun. I reached for the mic in my pocket. Yeah, that's right. I had come prepared. See, people forgot something about me. I wasn't just some meme rapper. I knew how to entertain, how to command attention, and most importantly, I knew how to flip the script. I raised the mic to my lips, and my voice cut through the noise. Oh, man's not mad. The crowd let out a collective, ooh. The energy shifted. The laughter died down, replaced by excitement. I saw people pulling out their phones, recording. This was about to be a moment. The artist raised an eyebrow, still smirking, but I could see a flicker of surprise in his eyes. He didn't expect me to respond, let alone like this. I kept going, pacing a little now, making sure every word landed. But let me ask you something, I continued, my voice calm but sharp. How you out here calling me a meme when half your fans only know one of your songs? The crowd exploded. A roar of laughter and cheers shook the stadium. People were jumping up, nudging each other, mouths open in shock. Even some of the VIP guests were covering their mouths, trying to hide their grins. The artist's smirk faltered for just a second, and I caught it. That tiny crack in his confidence. I wasn't done. I let the energy settle just a little before delivering the next blow. Nah, I ain't trying to disrespect, I said, shrugging, keeping the playful but confident tone. I'm just saying. At least when I drop a track, the whole world remembers it. Another wave of shouts and laughter. The artist was nodding now, trying to play it off like it was all part of the fun. But I could see the gears turning in his head. He hadn't expected this. He thought I'd take the L and fade into the background. Not tonight. I turned slightly, addressing the crowd now, making sure they were locked in. See, the funny thing is, people like to act like I'm some fluke, like I ain't put in work. But let me tell you something. Being memorable? That's a skill. That's a talent. And if I'm still here, still in the convo, still getting name-dropped at shows like this, then clearly I'm doing something right. The stadium erupted. People were chanting my name now. Big Shaq, Big Shaq. The energy had completely flipped. The artist on stage chuckled, shaking his head, but I could see the shift in his posture. He had lost control of the moment. This was my moment now. I lowered the mic, taking a step back, letting the reaction soak in. I didn't need to say anything else. The message was clear. I wasn't just a joke. I was a problem. The energy in the stadium had shifted completely. The laughter that had once been at my expense had transformed into cheers, chants, and sheer hype. I could see the artist on stage, trying to brush it off, nodding like he was still in control, but I knew better. I had flipped the script, and now everyone was waiting to see what would happen next. I took a slow step back, letting the noise settle. But just as I thought things were cooling down, the artist leaned into his mic again. Aight, Big Shaq, I see you, he said, forcing a laugh. Man's got jokes, yeah? But tell me something. Where's the new heat, though? We all waiting. The crowd reacted with a mix of oh and gasps, as if he had just thrown down a challenge. I didn't hesitate. I lifted my mic again, locking eyes with him. You waiting for the heat? Bro, I've been cooking. Another explosion of noise from the crowd. They were loving it, but this time, I wasn't just talking. I was about to back it up. I turned to the DJ, nodding. He was hesitant at first, glancing at the artist on stage, but then he grinned. He knew what was about to happen. Boom, the beat dropped. Not just any beat. Something fresh. Something no one had heard before. My new track. A track I had been sitting on, waiting for the perfect moment. And this was that moment. The stadium vibrated with the bass as my voice came through the speakers, crisp and commanding. And just like that, I started rapping. The crowd lost it. Phones went up, people started bouncing, and even some of the artist's own fans were nodding their heads to the beat. My flow was sharp, every line hitting hard, a perfect mix of confidence, humor, and skill. The artist on stage tried to laugh it off, but I saw it in his eyes. He hadn't expected this. He had come for a joke, but now he was witnessing a moment. I didn't stop. I moved with the beat, delivering bar after bar, feeding off the energy of the crowd. My words weren't just aimed at him anymore. This was bigger than that. This was a reminder to everyone watching, to everyone who had ever doubted me, that I wasn't just some viral name from the past. I was here. I saw the artist whisper something to his DJ, probably trying to figure out a way to regain control, but it was too late. The crowd had chosen their side. And then, the twist. Just as I finished my verse, the artist did something I never expected. He started clapping, not mockingly, not sarcastically, but with real respect. He stepped forward, mic still in hand, shaking his head with a grin. Aight, he said, laughing. I can't even lie. That was cold. The crowd erupted again, this time in pure excitement. The tension was gone. It wasn't beef anymore. It was a moment of respect. He pointed at me. You got me, bro. I ain't see that coming. I smirked, shrugging. Man's always ready. And just like that, he did something no one in the stadium saw coming. He stretched out his hand, a handshake, a show of mutual respect, a recognition that tonight I had proved myself in the best way possible. I stepped forward, dapped him up, and the stadium went crazy. This wasn't just a comeback. This was a statement. And the internet? Oh, the internet was about to go wild.